Judy Hinch dedicated her life to the Harford County Fire and EMS services. After her passing, a fund was established in her name to benefit those firefighters, EMS personnel, and their families. This fund helps our hardworking heroes in their time of need. Join us in the next 30 minutes as we learn more about Judy, her coworkers, her family, and all those who have benefited from this wonderful organization. I'm Christy Breslin, and this is Harford Magazine. I'm now here with Betty Jo Sr. She is the chairperson for the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund. We are so excited to have her here with us today. She's going to tell us all about Judy and how this fund began and why it's so important for our community. Betty Jo, thanks for being here today.
You're very welcome.
Now, Betty Jo, what is the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund?
Okay, the fund, it was established about 3 years ago to assist Harford County volunteer fire and EMS personnel that end up with a financial need. It dawned on us in Harford County that there was a need, and Judy brought that to light for us prior to her death. If someone becomes destitute, we don't want somebody that gave their private time and training and fighting fire or helping other people in the county end up destitute and homeless.
Tell me about Judy. Who was she?
Judy Hinch was the first fire woman in Aberdeen Fire Company, where we are today. She devoted 40 plus years to fire and EMS, to the citizens of Aberdeen. Judy went on to become an instructor. So she helped train a lot of us in Harford County. Just a very dedicated person, very charitable person of giving of her time. Unfortunately, at the end of her life, she became critically ill. And because of that illness, without getting too personal, she became in need of financial aid. There is a brotherhood of firefighters, and that just means that when someone's in need, everybody helps. And they band together, did a bull roast, and that started the beginning of the fundraising.
Well, let me ask you, what is the motto for the fund? I know you guys have a great motto.
We have a motto. It's caring for Harford's heroes. Anybody that gets out of their bed in the middle of the night to put out a fire in their neighborhood, or get out of the bed and help a neighbor with a medical problem, they're heroes.
Who can ask for help from the fund? Is it individuals? Is it members of the family? How does that work?
There's two ways people can get funding. They can ask personally. They have to be a member in good standing in one of the 12 volunteer fire companies in Harford County. After that, if there happens to be a need, they can let us know. Or somebody can refer somebody, and we can investigate it, ask them. That has happened once, and the family in need declined our help. So there's two ways. You can ask personally for yourself, or it can be a referral from somebody else.
Now, the individual asking for assistance, give me a little bit more of an idea of exactly how they are helped.
We have a thorough investigation. We talk to them personally that's vetted. We ask personal questions. Everything is confidential. Then it goes to the board of directors. The board of directors either approves it or declines it. But mostly, we've had approvals so far. At that point, bills are paid directly. There's never any money given to an individual. We pay utility bills, we pay car payments, we pay rent. We can give a family with children gift cards for grocery store purchases. But at no time is there ever any point where somebody is just given a check, blank check, or cash.
Now, how many people would you say that you've helped so far?
I'm very fortunate to say, at this point, I can tell you that 3 people have been helped by the fund. It's not abused. People don't like to ask for help. The first person, right after the fund started, we had a young girl that was not going to make a car payment, and she became so upset. So that was our first help, was we helped her with her car payment. The second occasion was a referral by members of a fire company, and that family had gotten into a very bad financial situation. Utilities were being turned off. There was not food in the refrigerator. So we were able to help that family. And then I'm privileged to say we helped somebody just this week with rent payment. A phone call came in at the beginning of the week, and he was going to be evicted. So we were able to help that person as well.
Now, Betty Jo, you told us who can apply, but what's the process? How do you apply to receive some of the services?
We have a form that needs to be filled out. It can be a verbal. With this case this week, it was over the phone consultation. They just fill out a form, and it's very personal. We have to ask about some personal issues. So we like to keep everything as confidential as possible, but they can fill it out and hand it back in, or we can do it over the phone. And then, like I said, the board of directors meets, and the decision is up to them.
Betty Jo, thank you so much. What a great fund in honor of a wonderful woman.
Thank you for having me, Christy.
Well, coming up next, we're going to speak to Judy's son, hear more about what kind of person she was and how this fund is helping so many others in our Harford County family. Stay with us.
Hi again. I just wanted to show everybody this beautiful queen-size quilt commemorating 9/11. It was made by one of our members in Abington Volunteer Fire Company, Ruth Tolliver. She made it and donated it. It will go out for a raffle. Starting in September until December the 15th will be the drawing. Check our social media. We'll have all the information on there about how to get the raffle tickets. Thank you so much for supporting the fund.
Become a part of history as Harford County celebrates its 250th anniversary. Plans are underway for a full year of fun, education, and nostalgia to honor our past and build our legacy for the future. But we need you to make Harford 250 a success. There are many ways for everyone to get involved. Become a sponsor, donate, volunteer, or host an event. Join us today at harford250.org for more information.
Now, it's my honor and my privilege to introduce a very special person, Steve Hinch. He is the son of Judy, and he is also a very valued member here at the Aberdeen Fire Department. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Christy.
Steve, what would you like our viewers to know about your mom?
The only thing I can really come up with is that she was just something else. It was really hard to describe her in a multitude of interviews about her. She was just something else. She would give anything to anybody, even if she didn't have it. And that's why I think this benevolent fund, really embracing her name, is something special.
Oh, absolutely. Now, was she one of the reasons why you became a firefighter?
Absolutely. Her will to give to the community, and the fact that she would just do whatever she could. She would go on every call she could go on, often leaving me with a neighbor, grandparents. I never got left with my dad because her and my dad would go on the call together, so that's okay. But looking back, I can't imagine how many lives they helped.
Okay, so I need to ask you this. As a firefighter, you work 24/7. Give our viewers an idea of what your job is like. So if you're sitting home having dinner one night and they call, do you have to go?
You don't have to, but it's a conscious choice that you make, and it takes a special woman or man, whoever you're sharing your time with. It takes a special person to deal with that, and most of us in the fire service have that special person that we can get the green light to go on any call. Normally dinner time's not the most opportune time, but overnight it's opens the bed up to kind of get a little more comfortable for the dog and whoever else you're sharing your bed with.
So is it safe to say there's no opportune time?
No, there's not, but that's how this business works. You just have to push through and make it, and everything normally ends out okay.
How long have you been with the Aberdeen Fire Department?
I started the Aberdeen Fire Department August 29th, 2005. That was the day I stepped foot in the fire department. My dad wouldn't let me join when I was 16. He said I had to concentrate on high school. So after I got out of trade school in 2005, I was allowed to join.
Well, it sounds like you really like it, and you're a very valuable member of the fire department. So do you have any stories or any experiences that stand out in your mind that, give us an idea of what it's like to be a firefighter?
I can't pick just one. There's been a lot of lives touched by a lot of the members of the fire departments in Harford County. And I say it's just seeing the solace or the ability for somebody to just say thank you at the end, even if things didn't turn out favorable. We know we tried our best to do what we could do, and that's it.
Now, someone that's interested in becoming a firefighter, what would you say to encourage them? Why do you think it may be a good route for someone to take?
You have to want to do it. You have to have that desire inside. It's not just, there was an old chief, Bennett Smith Sr., that used to be the chief here for a very long time. When I joined, he told me this isn't a hobby, it's a life. And if you're not on that path, you have to really be able to give all you can to the fire service. Otherwise, it's probably not going to end up too well.
Now, Steve, of your mom's many, many accomplishments, she also wrote a book. Tell us about that.
Cracks of My Heart was a memoir, if you will, of some of her memorable calls through her career, and I think she changed the names for the sake of keeping some of their identity secret, but we all know who they are. And it's pretty short read, it's a quick read, but it's a pretty interesting book. It tells a lot about her start in the fire service and how much she really appreciated it.
Steve, thank you so much. Your mom was such a wonderful person, and we are so grateful to you for all that you do for our community, because I know 3 a.m. calls, not easy to do.
Thank you.
Well, coming up much more, we'll talk to more of the people involved with the Benevolent Fund and find out why they stay involved. Stay with us. Sandy Gallion, a face many of you know very well here in Harford County, very dedicated to our community, and she is also a board member at the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund. Sandy, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for having me.
Sandy, you are one very dedicated individual. You have many different hats that you wear out here in the community. How did you become involved with the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund?
Well, I've been a member of the fire company at Level for 41 years, and also president there. And so I sit on as an executive member of the association, which, the Judy Hinch kind of falls underneath that umbrella. And so that's how I became involved with it. But it's also important to me to provide for our members and for our county volunteers who basically get up in the middle of the night and have a zero paycheck to provide for them in a time of need.
Oh, absolutely. And how many members would you say that you have and how many volunteers? Because I know it's a big organization.
Oh, I don't know. In the 12 companies, I don't have any idea really. I mean, we have a lot of volunteers in this county, but and the county is all 100% volunteer. So they're not career firefighters, but volunteers. So all of them are donating their time free of charge.
Now, to become a volunteer firefighter, what does that mean? What kind of training and time? What's involved?
We join a fire company. Everybody has a little bit different, requirements, but everybody's required to go through a lot of training. For a firefighter, it's a lot of hours for firefighter 1 and firefighter 2, as well as some other training. Become an EMT to ride the ambulance. I mean, it's over 200 hours of your time just in schooling, training, ride-alongs, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of time that you dedicate, and then keeping up with that training that you have to do on a regular basis. Company level training, we have county level training. There are requirements, even though we are volunteers.
What are some of the many benefits to being involved? I know people get involved and they stay with it.
For me, and I joined the fire company when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
I came in, and for me, it was the family. It was like a second family, and I'll be honest, it's still to me today is like a second family. When we're in need and the chips are down, we're in a hardship, we've lost someone. The fire service, the volunteer fire service here, they're here for you. And, they don't let you down. And that's why the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund is so important, because we're supporting, others. So when the chips are down for someone and they can't figure out where the next penny is going to come from to pay their rent, to make a car payment, to pay their electric bill, this fund then can provide for them and help them out. And it means a lot. It's part of the family. That's what families do for each other.
Now, you're on the board. How large is the board and what is the purpose of it?
The board is basically set up of our executive members, which is, our president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then we have a deputy treasurer. And so they oversee any time the decisions be made. BJ oversees as the chairman, and when something comes, she brings it to our attention. We view those applicants, deciding whether, really it meets the criteria of what is set forth in our incorporation rules and bylaws, and make that decision as to whether or not we, pay this. Of course, always we're going to look very hard and make sure that we can try to do this, but we have to stay within the rules and stay within what is required by our bylaws and our incorporation.
Now, you're raising funds to support the cause. Tell me about the funds raised and what are they used towards?
So we're trying to build our pot. It started very small. Actually, we started with a little bit of raffle money from our association meetings, but that was just putting little pennies in the pot, really. So our first big event that we had was a cornhole tournament, which was right before COVID hit, and that was our first event. Then COVID came along, and all of a sudden, everything was shut down. We couldn't have any events. So we did an online auction, which was really great, put our first $20,000 into the bank, and that brought a lot of money in, and it really kind of motivated everything. And Mission Barbecue has also been an awesome partner with us as well, with their cups, their hero cups, which actually are on sale now until I believe it's 9/11. So portions of that goes to our Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund, and a portion goes to the Harford County Sheriff's Office Benevolent Fund as well. But they're a great supporter of all of us, Harford County Sheriffs as well as the fire service. So that really helps out. And when they first opened in Bel Air, their grand opening funds from that went into the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund. And we're continuing to move forward and have different, things coming up. And right now our crab raffle is going on, where you can buy tickets to win a bushel of crabs. And that really does bring a good amount of money in for us as well.
Well, that sounds great, and you're doing so many wonderful things here. Now, for anybody that's interested in maybe partnering or donating or volunteering, how do we get in touch?
You can reach out to Betty Jo, BJ. She'll be more than happy to get you linked in. Also, you can go to the Harford County Volunteer Fire and EMS website. There's a link on there to reach out to one of us. We'll be more than happy to partner with anybody. Again, it's to help others, and that's what we do. So we would love to partner with any businesses. We can take individual donations as well. We're happy to take anything at all.
Sandy, thanks again. You are such a valued member of our community, and we are so grateful for all the effort that you put into making this fund the success that it is.
Thank you, Christy.
Well, coming up next, we're going to speak to another very dedicated committee member, and we're going to learn more about how the fund has grown over the years. Stay tuned.
Maryland residents and visitors now have the option to text 911 if they are unable to place a phone call.
To send a text, enter 911 in the to line.
In your message, include the location of your emergency and the type of help needed.
Si el servicio de enviar mensajes de texto al 911 no está disponible o no es ofrecido en su área, usted recibirá un mensaje diciéndole que contacte al 911 por teléfono o por TTY.
911. Call if you can, text if you can't.
Ron Solid is a committee member at the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund, and he was also a close personal friend of Judy's. He's here to tell us about what it's like being on the committee and all the sacrifices that these brave men and women make on a daily basis to keep our citizens safe. Hi, Ron.
Hi, glad to meet you.
Now, Ron, when did you first get started with the Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund, and why?
Started pretty much from the beginning. To me, it was a no-brainer to help out someone who I knew for a long time.
Well, tell me about Judy. Tell me about your relationship with her. I know you were good friends.
Judy and I first met her when I first started with the volunteer fire service, and she taught me my first CPR class, and then a few years later, she taught me my first CPR instructor class to make me a CPR instructor. So we got to know each other pretty well through the course of the time, and through the years, we remained friends, very easy to talk to. If I needed some help with something as far as my medical career as I was going up, I knew I could turn to Judy to help me out.
Well, the fund has really done some amazing things from when it first started. Tell me about how it's grown.
It's grown quite a bit over the last couple of years. We started out with, after we had a bull roast for Judy, we started out with a bull roast to raise funds for her for help her out with her medical bills. After that, we decided that with the extra money left over, we would start a fund and name it after her for other people that may be in the same situation at some point.
What is the ultimate goal of the Benevolent Fund?
To help what we can. The ultimate goal is to get up to at least $100,000 in the fund and keep it there so that we can help our volunteer firefighters and EMS people and just about any of our volunteers in case of an emergency comes up that they cannot, afford to do what they have to do.
Well, moving forward, I know there's a lot of plans in place. Share some of those.
Yes, well, we're just now starting a restaurant thing where we're putting boots in a restaurant. Some of the restaurants are going to donate funds back to the fund, the Judy Hinch Fund, as we go in there. We have a crab raffle that we've done the last couple of years and done very well with. I usually go around to a lot of the food truck nights and sell tickets there, which helps out, and it's a good idea. We had some help in the beginning from George Wooden, who's a professional fundraiser, and he gave us some good tips on how to get started and pretty much set us at ease. We can do this. All we have to do is apply ourselves, and we did. And the team stepped up, and the committee stepped up, and we did very well.
Now, tell us a little bit more about some of the events that you do. I know that you had a crab raffle going on that was very successful.
Yeah, then go to harfordvolunteer.com. There will be information on the website there. Plus, watch our social media pages, the harfordcountyvolunteers.org. We have a lot of information that goes out on social media. We found over the years, especially with COVID, social media is the best way to contact people.
Oh, absolutely. Now, besides being a volunteer firefighter, are there any other volunteer opportunities that are available to the people of Harford County?
There's a lot of volunteers stuff available for people to do. I mean, people don't understand, because we are volunteers, everything is done in-house. We need people to help raise funds. We need people to help put things back in service, to help with cleaning the firehouse. A lot of times we have people just to do administrative stuff, help during a banquet, or if we're doing a fundraiser. We need people to help us. They don't have to be actually riding the equipment in order to be a volunteer.
Now, Ron, from your vantage point, why be involved? Why volunteer for this particular fund? What is some of the highlights of it?
For me, it's pretty personal. Again, knowing Judy from the very start of my firefighting career, which has been over 32 years, this is a good idea. It's a fundraiser, a benevolent fund to help out our EMS and firefighter volunteers in case of something, an unexpected emergency. There's always something that comes up. And I think, like I said before, we have a committee that keeps it confidential and reviews all the applications and makes sure that the information is correct. And we don't really give the money to the person, but we give it to maybe to help pay their bill or do what we have to do so that we can help the person survive and get back to a normal life.
What would you like people to know about some of the great sacrifices that are made by the firefighters, the EMS, and the personnel?
Well, we are volunteers. A lot of people think because we're volunteers that we aren't trained as they were back in the early days. We are trained to the same standard that everyone else is trained to, whether you're in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Baltimore, anywhere around the state. We're all trained to a certain standard in order to be able to get on that equipment. It's fun. It's a big family. You become family with the department you're with, and sometimes with other departments also. We do get together. We have lunches together. We'll have evenings together, and it's not always work. They're a second family to a lot of us.
Ron, thank you again. It really sounds like you really are just a big family here, and all that you do to keep us safe, how can you ever pay that back?
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
The Judy Hinch Benevolent Fund, as you have seen today, supports our first responders. These are the same people that you call for help in the middle of the night. These brave men and women work tirelessly to keep our community safe. This is our chance to give back. You can visit them at harfordvolunteer.org, or you can call the number at the bottom of the screen, or even send them an email to learn more about all the wonderful opportunities they have for volunteerism, sponsorship, and how you can dedicate your time. I'm Christy Breslin. See you next month on Harford Magazine.